Are we on? Hope. Okay, we'll call the workshop meeting for the Jordan Public Schools to order. It's Tuesday, May 28th, 2019, 6:30 p.m. And the first order of business was that we did a walkthrough of the high school tonight. We got an update on some proposed changes to the high school. And the next part is a very exciting part, and it's our retiree recognition. And so I'll turn it over to Superintendent Helgerson.
Okay, well, we have some honored guests here tonight and their families, so we want to thank you all for coming and celebrating with us as we honor those who are leaving us. Bittersweet, obviously, for our retirees. I'm sure you're looking forward to the next phase in life, but you're leaving a big hole in our hearts and in the hearts of our students. I've asked our principals to say a few words about our retirees, so I'm gonna start with Brian, and I'll let Jeff talk about Brian Aldrich.
Come up here, Mr. Aldrich. Don't worry, this isn't a roast. So Brian and I I had an observation for Brian this year and started to get that hint that maybe some things were going to be changing. And selfishly, my first thing was, can you wait one more year? Because my sophomore daughter is going to be in my class next year. And Brian just has it. There's a thing in teaching that it's an art. It's not just, oh, this is my curriculum, this is what we do. There's an art to it. And Brian just is a master of that art. He just knows what to say. His relationships with kids are amazing. He goes around the room talking to kids, and it's just so good. And the other cool thing is that he used to blow things up all the time too, and the kids love that too. But I'll share one story. Brian had the nitrous, liquid nitrogen, and there was a group of students around him. He created this bubble and it floated on top. I don't know all the details of it. That's my chemistry background, or lack thereof. But there were students that aren't normally engaged, and they were fully engaged, and just like, that is so cool. And they were just he had them all in his hands. And we're gonna miss that from you. But what you've given to this district and to our kids is just so great. So thank you for everything you've done for us, and you're gonna be great at that. Thank you.
Just a real quick story too that I have to share about Brian. This year, I think it was this year. Gosh, this year has gone so fast. Yes. My high school biology environmental studies teacher, who's now teaching over in the Twin Cities area, said, "Hey, I'd love to come down and observe a science teacher because he's now at a specific school for kids with autism, and in order to continue to get their accreditation, they have to do so many observation hours of other schools." But he asked me, "Well, can I come down and observe?" And there was only one person that I thought of that he could shadow in terms of science. So Brian, it's a tribute to you. You touched the lives of so many kids, and we're thankful to have had you in our district. So this is from the board, and I want to congratulate you. I really thank you so much.
That's a cool picture. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time. It's the best move for my family and I. It's, it is bittersweet, but it's more sweet than bitter. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And unfortunately, the Aldriches are a pair. So when we lost Brian, we also lose a tremendous elementary teacher, a person who has also touched countless lives in her time here in Jordan, and we're going to miss her very much as well. And I asked Melissa to say a few things about Ruth Aldrich.
Ruth and I were just talking earlier today about how things go by so fast. And one of the things that I remember about some of conversations we've had, one in particular this year, was Ruth saying, I am just too young. I feel too young to be in this place, and I think that's a testament to her teaching. She approaches teaching and kids with passion and wants the best for them. Mrs. A, as she's called by her students, she's going to be greatly missed. She has a deep love for her profession that really you don't see in a lot of teachers anymore as far as their dedication and their commitment. So we will greatly miss you. Our staff will greatly miss you. I know Ruth is one of those people who seems to be kind of all prim and proper in the classroom, and then she kind of all of a sudden comes out and she's, you know, got a fire lit, and the staff just is drawn to that. So we're gonna miss you, and but I also know you're gonna enjoy the time with your family. So congratulations, and you'll be greatly missed.
Our next honored guest and retiree is Shelley Hobick, and I'll ask Shelley to come up, and Melissa's going to say a few things about Shelley as well. But Shelley and I were talking the other day in the office about when you went to the office or transitioned to the office, and much like Dave Worm, it has a relationship to when I came to the district. So back in 2000, I believe, is when you transitioned from a paraprofessional role into the office. And Shelley's one of those people that when you come in as a parent and you might be upset at something, and Shelley greets you with a smile and how can I help you today, and diffuses that situation, and that takes a very special person. And Shelley, you also have touched so many kids' lives and so many families, and I certainly appreciate all that you've done for our district. So Melissa, I'll let you say a few things.
No, I'm gonna lose it. We were both saying today, we're gonna be fine, we're gonna be fine. When I came here 7 years ago already, gosh, that's gone by so fast. I would totally agree with Matt. I often will say Shelley's the heart of our office. Terry and I, there's times where it's hard. Sometimes it's hard working in that office because you have to take every person coming in and give them that gift of service, and we're here to help. And sometimes that's hard to do when somebody comes in a little crabby, but Terry and I are just in awe because Shelley does it so effortlessly, and just with so much gratitude of just serving people. She does that with the Lioness. She does that with her family. It's been a joy watching her play the role of Gaga in the office.
The original.
And seeing, you know, from Matt to Mitchell to now Elena, and be able to see her grandkids coming in and how special that is. And that's how she treats people. She treats them like their family. I'm gonna miss that. And I'm not gonna pretend that we're gonna replace you, and because that just won't happen. But like Shelley said, she's not going, you know, away for too long. She's gonna definitely come back and visit. So
For sure.
thank you for all you've done for our whole school community.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And we have one more retiree that wasn't able to be here with us tonight, but we'd like to thank also Carol Lagergren. Carol worked both in Belle Plaine and Jordan for a number of years, and then we had the good fortune of being able to hire her full-time here in Jordan. And she is responsible she's the architect of our Chromebook deployment. We did that pilot with both the iPads and Chromebooks, and Carol led us through those waters, and those of us who have worked closely with her, whether it's strategic planning or developing our online learning days, she is a brilliant lady, and her knowledge and service will be missed as well. So we thank Carol for her years of service and congratulate her on her retirement as well. So again, thank you families for being with us tonight, and thank you retirees for your service to our district. Yeah, before you leave, can we get one picture?
Yes.
Just needs to be pushed.
The back wall.
Thank you. That's what made me want to.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sure they look great.
Did he fill out paper sections? I haven't seen the
Yep.
results.
Yeah, I think the boys, they dominated. I think the
Yeah.
girls did well,
Yeah.
too. Like, there wasn't a
Spent
whole
all
lot.
weekend
Like,
with
the girls won.
Oh, you were out of town?
Yeah, we were down there this last weekend.
So, yeah, so Abby's 4x4 team's going. There's not a
At,
ton, but Abby's 4x4
Oh, sure.
team's going. I think a bunch of the
Kids
relays
have
for
fun?
girls.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he's in a 4x4.
Nice.
But all the boys relays teams
They
are
liked it
so
down
strong.
there.
Yes.
They should all go. Maybe all go to state. That's how
We
strong.
found a couple we like.
That'd be
Because
awesome.
all of them were at the elite meeting in the 4x4.
We're not gonna
Okay.
fly down there now.
Yep.
You know, the best
Yeah.
of the best. They should be right there. I mean, it'd be fun.
Buying something.
Yeah. I
So,
was
but yeah.
in theater with Ceremony that night, so
Yeah.
I like things.
Moves quick.
Yeah, yeah. I was in Albuquerque for soccer.
Yeah, it's like you gotta, I'm like, can I calm myself? Because that might have been Sam's last meeting. He doesn't know he's going out next year.
Oh, really? Isn't that sure?
Well, you know, it's like, he really enjoys it,
Yeah.
but he's friends with a lot of the seniors.
Sure.
And so he's not friends with a lot of the kids in his class. And well, so he's like, you know, a lot of what I get out of this is social. And so he's like, I don't know, we'll see. He does like to run, but he's like, you know, the race isn't why he goes.
Oh, the beauty of that's I've always said for the kids to
Okay.
it's so individual and it's so social and it's such a
Well, and he can, you know,
Okay, we're gonna do her now.
exactly. Exactly.
it's just great.
So,
All right,
We'll see, hopefully he won't.
little break in the action. We have another honored guest here tonight, and actually she's not a guest, she's part of our board. And Tommy, we recognize how busy of a student you are, being a part of the a cappella group tonight and practicing and then coming over, on top of the fact that it's your senior week. You know, it's sort of that special week where you get to say goodbye to your K-12 education, and I know there's a lot of excitement and energy around that and wrapping up those end of the year things. But you serve this board so well, and you did it on top of a tremendously busy schedule. You added a student perspective, a student voice, you asked great questions, and you stepped in to fill a vacancy. And I think I speak for all the board, I'm sure they'll have some words to say as well, but when we say thank you for all that you've done for our district, both in talent and voice, in character, in academics, but also here on this board. So we have a card and a little going away gift for you that will help you, hopefully help you along your way as you further your education. So we congratulate you. Should I just pass this down or have you come on up?
Have her come up. Have her come up.
Come up to the podium so we can say something. You don't have to open it now, you certainly can, but you don't have to open it now. But anybody, any of the board or admins want to say anything to Tommy?
I'll start. I just want to say, knowing you gives me great hope for the future. You have been an amazing asset to this board and to your class, and so thank you for everything you've done. So you're going to go far. So thank you.
Well, Tommy, I've watched you for a couple years being in Mason's grade and all the different stuff. You're extremely talented, and so when you came on this board, to blow me away again at the level that you brought, your level of maturity here and the information that you brought. Very grateful, and you will keep up the great work.
It was an honor to serve with you, Tommy, and I know you are going to go places. So, and I wish you all of the best.
Tommy, just knowing the fact that you had to do research on the schools that you weren't in to give your reports to us and to attend some of their events so that you could report shows your dedication to our school district. So when you leave, don't forget to come back and visit, because we want the bigger you to still be part of us.
Congratulations on graduating from Jordan Public Schools, and it was really an honor to serve with you on the board. Your dedication and your abilities and talents that you have and that you've contributed to this district are awesome.
Keep that upbeat personality. It'll bring you places that, just being you. Don't steer away from who you are. Just be natural and be who you are, and you'll be great. No doubt about it.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next item is review of breakfast and lunch survey data and participation in school meal prices.
All right. So Andrea's here, but also Amy. And Amy assisted in putting together data as well on some of these pieces tonight, the teachers on call piece. But Andrea has prepared a summary for us, and we'll go through that and then take your questions about lunch pricing recommendations. You're not acting on this tonight. This is just for discussion. And then talk a little bit about the ideas to grow food service going forward.
Good evening. Hi. Okay, so yes, I put together some information I wanted to go over. Amy and I went through and did our lunch price equity tool and decided that we're going to raise prices by 5 cents. And we think by doing that, we kind of estimated a little, but we think we can get about 8,000 to 10,000 revenue with a 5 cents increase. But I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't want to increase St. John's or Southwest Metro. We'll not be increasing breakfast for students and staff. We will not be increasing our extra entrees or milk prices. That'll all stay the same. Any questions on that?
Why freezing St. John's and South Metro lunch prices?
Well, we had put them up quite a bit this past year, and I don't feel that we need to do that now. I did think last year that maybe I'd put them up another 75 cents for this coming year. But I think I want to just wait on that and probably do it next year. I think some of the parents in those two areas were probably like, now we're up to $3 a meal, to cover all our costs. So I didn't feel that I wanted to push that on them right now for this coming year. If that's something you'd like to talk about, we certainly can. I'm thinking we should do something, $3.25.
Well, I just wonder if you're raising for our students, if you go up a nickel for theirs too, then and just.
What are they at now?
$3.
Three.
Three.
So do you not want to
Like
deal with
Yeah.
3 or 5? I mean, I don't know.
Well, it's all electronic.
Yeah, it's all
anyways.
electronic, so.
Or whatever.
It will be $265 for K through 4th and $275 for 5th through 12th. One student
And just going back to last year, we did increase it that much because we purchased a new food truck.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that custodial time to transport the food and then also gas. So there's wear and tear on the vehicle, so we did bump it up a little bit.
And our participation with them has stayed pretty good, but I don't know, I didn't feel like I wanted to push too much more on them, so that's why I didn't really consider them. But I certainly, if you feel that it's something we should do, we can certainly do that.
Well, what are the numbers at St. John's and Southwest Metro that we
So
service?
participation right now at St. John's is 50% and Southwest Metro is 60%.
So what number is that? About how many kids?
That's about, I think at St. John's, it runs about 60, 65 a day, and at Southwest Metro, almost 100 a day. So I want to keep that participation.
Yeah,
And
right,
Yeah.
right.
Make it discourage them.
Does that include staff then too?
Mhm.
Does the staff pay the same amount that our staff?
Yes, they $375.
Okay.
And that's all in line with our districts around us.
Thoughts?
Does that include catering like we do, or how many districts do that where they serve?
A lot of, well, I'd say, I'd have to look into that, but I'm sure, I know a lot of them do a lot of catering. But I think we're a little different because we're doing 2 different sites.
Sure.
Might be 1 site, but we do a little bit more than, I don't think Belplain does any catering.
I don't know.
I don't believe
They,
it's.
no, Belplain is Taher.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. But we can look at that if we want to think about it. Like I say, we aren't deciding tonight, but.
Is that something you want her to look into, raising that, or you leave her proposal as is?
I mean,
I'm
we can
fine
look
with
at, like-
leaving it the way it is for St. John's and,
As I say, we can look at it and see what kind of revenue that would do if we upped it, but, I'm open, so. We didn't really take that into consideration. We did.
And mine was less about the revenue, it's just if we're doing it to our kids.
Yeah,
how-
I know,
why-
that's
Why would we
Cameron's.
freeze everyone else's? That was
Yeah.
my, that was
I
my
think
only
it's a-
point, more than the revenue, it's just
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
Just because I.
But they're
probably-
also higher.
I raised them a little
Yeah,
more
'cause it
than I
costs
did
us more.
ours
I know.
Last year.
So that's why I thought, well,
Yeah.
would each year raise them again, but.
Yeah, I get that.
wasn't there, Matt, can you refresh my memory? Wasn't there a point in time where we were doing increases because of the state or the federal government requiring us to be at a certain price point?
Yes.
Are we past that now?
When we did our lunch equity tool, that's what that is it measures, do we need to increase now? We didn't have to increase this.
Okay,
But we decided we'd like to increase it by 5 cents.
okay.
Because you can increase up to 10 cents without having to, like the tool doesn't, if the tool says we don't have to, we don't have to, but we can up to 10, but no more than that.
I thought we were at a point though where we had to
We
at
did
some
have
We
point,
were a
and now
couple years
we're.
ago.
We did, yeah.
Mhm.
Like
We were pretty low.
9 years ago. And
Why
then-
was it, it was
no,
that
even
long
more,
ago?
more recent than that too.
No,
When I
yeah,
was on,
more
we had it
recent
too.
than
It
that.
started then.
Yeah, that
Like
might
when
have been.
Kurt was
Started,
still
it
here.
Yeah.
started with Michelle Obama's, Hungry, what's it?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, that's when it started.
Okay.
Somewhere in there, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And I
Send
would
me.
say, 'cause this is my 5th year, I'd say the last 3 to 4 years we've had to increase.
Yeah.
This is the first year I think that school said we didn't have to,
Okay,
that we're more up to where we're supposed to be.
okay.
And the next thing on our agenda is I did a student meal survey for our high school and our middle school. And at the middle school, I had about 171 kids respond. And out of those 171, 54% of them eat lunch every day. And I asked students what their favorite restaurant meal is and what they like new on the menu. And I had a lot of positive responses, more Asian meals, chicken items, Mexican entrees were a lot of the popular responses for that.
Sounds like what I'd answer in a survey.
Yeah, me
Yeah, me
too.
too.
And again, it's a lot of their favorites.
Mhm.
Yeah.
At the high school, we had 153 students respond, and 53% of those 153 eat lunch every day. Asking the same questions, more chicken items, bigger sandwiches, again, Mexican entrees and pasta dishes. So this summer, I'm gonna be looking at my cycle menu and trying to revamp and adding some of these suggestions from the students. And I wanted to go through participation. St. John's, this is as of April, they were at 50%, Southwest Metro 60%. The elementary school is 72%, the middle school is 61%, and our high school is 53%. So I was pretty happy with that. The USDA came out with a school nutrition meal cost study, and I don't know if any of you have gotten it. But it was interesting to see what the average is for students eating. So the average at elementary school is 71%, and we have 72% right now. The average at middle schools is 52, and we're at 61. High school students was really low. They have it 38.9, but then there might be some districts that do open campus
Yes.
that can eat.
Sure.
Well, we have 53, And then, I guess that's all they have, they didn't have any, different sites and that. So I feel good about our participation. I would like more, just, you know, because I want more, but, so far I think that, you know, their participation is good.
So like for the, especially the middle and high school, do we know why more aren't? Is it just that they're picky eaters, or they bring their own lunch, or is it finances?
It could be all those things, really, yeah. I think at the high school level, I think they want more options.
Okay.
So that's one of the things I'm gonna talk about. I think they're gonna want, like, when they mention they want bigger sandwiches, that kind of thing, I think they like to put food together themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They like to do self-serve. So we're gonna come up with some new ideas with that. And some others, so going into that for new lunch options for next year, I'm gonna put in place a meatless Monday once a month, because I did get some suggestions from students that they'd like to see more meatless meals. And a lot of manufacturers are coming out with some really good, different, there's like a black bean hamburger that's very tasty. And I'll be looking through some other items that are meatless, but I thought that'd be kind of a nice thing to add for something different. Going to the high school, we have that salad bar that the kids get every day, but I would like to, about twice a week, take that salad bar and make it into a taco bar, where they come and they can put together their own taco. A mac and cheese bar, where you can add things to macaroni and cheese, build your own sandwich bar, a pasta bar, and make that a third option for them. So I think they need it. I think a lot of them are used to, you know, like Chaska, they've got 9 lines, you know, in their high school. They can have whatever they like any time. But, so, because of our space confinement and our staff confinement, it's harder to do that. But at least this will give a third option to kids besides what we're already doing.
That's a
So
great idea.
I talked to my staff about it, and they're willing to do it. They think it'll be great. I don't want to take away the salad bar, because I know a lot of kids really use that. So 3 days a week, we'll still have that. But on those other days, we'll have something totally different for them to choose. And they'll have everything they need for reimbursable amount. And, looks like we went through, I'm going to be working on my cycle menu, and I'll be offering things from the survey. So the last thing I want to talk about that's going to be, I think, very interesting and something the district will like is we're going to put together a catering service. So this summer I'm going to put together a brochure that talks about our new catering concepts, and the idea is to provide food and beverages for a variety of needs and activities. I've already had a lot of people come to me that are in meetings or conferences right now, and I'm doing dinner. I like to that now, and I'm working to do what I was doing at that school. But there's a lot of opportunity right in our district to help people with meetings. They don't have to go out. I'm going to make up a brochure, Cabot probably help me with that, where I'm going to be including all the menu items, it could be beverages, lunch, it could be tea, coffee, whatever it might be. I'm getting some ideas from other districts, and they're really interested in that. And pricing will be on there, 10% catering fee will already be assessed. And we'll have different guidelines and policies, and also people have to get in and write some. And I believe the staff will really enjoy getting this. The whole idea is that we just having a meeting, and those the staff is provided at elementary district. So staff might be probably planning their time a little bit better around, a little bit more work they're gonna be doing, but otherwise I think it'll be something new and something to promote nutritional services.
Well, I know it was really fun when you catered the symposium for the
Yes.
potential teachers. That was a great event, and they loved it, and the food was excellent, and
Well, and my staff really enjoyed doing it too. It was fun because we get to kind of, you know, make food that's not, you know, it's kind of more illegal, you know, so that we're gonna make.
Yeah.
So we got to buy some fun
Yeah.
stuff. So actually, the chicken legs that we used for that, we're gonna put on the high school menu for next year, but.
great.
mhm.
Be good. It's fun. So, you won't have to add more staff for that. You'll just use the current staff that you have. So, great.
I just think it would be fun even, and you and I briefly exchanged some conversation about this. Many of us spend 4 nights a week,
Yeah.
you know, especially in the winter months, in a gym, or, you know what I mean? So it'd be even something to potentially work with, you know, SAA or whatever to provide sort of a decent, well-rounded meal option for those who are attending a game or, you know, an event of some sort. It doesn't have to be like everyone, but maybe it's once a week or during those busy times or something like that. If you look at the schedule and there's, for example, 5 home or 4 home events that week, a couple concerts and 3 ball games or whatever.
Yep.
That'd be good.
Definitely. Yeah, I can see people taking advantage of that.
So beside, can I ask a question I haven't had a chance to ask you? The catering fee, so the catering fee would be on the total price,
Correct.
but would there also be a markup, like on the food, just to cover the cost of employees and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's because we have to cover labor for them to be doing it, so it'll probably be another 5% on top of that. 15 altogether.
Sorry. Going back to the salad bar piece, is there, I have not been to the high school during lunch to see how big the salad bar is.
Yes.
Is there a way to reserve a small portion of it for those students who do rely on it every day? I don't,
That's kind of why, when I was putting like the ideas together, like a taco bar, or I wanted to make sure there was enough like loose items like that where they can still pick it if they want to.
okay, okay.
Taco bar, you know, you have your lettuce, your tomato, olives, you know, they could almost make themselves like a little salad if they wanted to.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I don't want to take it away completely,
Right,
but our salad bar isn't very big either, so we're gonna end up
okay, that's what I
using
was wondering.
a lot of, you know, a lot of space, but it's always gonna be fresh items, so they can always take something off of that if they want to. Anything else, any concerns or questions, or?
I think you're doing a great job. I've really enjoyed serving during your nutrition week and stuff. It's just fun working with your staff. And
Yeah, and please, anyone can come and do that and help out, and the staff love, or the students love to see somebody else serving them, and.
When is that, it's the fall, right?
Yes, we have our,
It's always-
the lunch is, I think like the 3rd, it's always over MEA, which is kind of too bad, because it takes way every time.
Yeah.
But it's that 3rd week in October, and then we also have the breakfast, which is usually the 1st week in March,
Okay.
so.
But I
it's
bet you would
national.
welcome volunteers anytime during the year.
Anytime, absolutely.
It really is fun. I mean,
I
it's so
did it
fun
once,
seeing
yeah.
the kids and.
I just, I mean, just a compliment to you and the staff. I mean, we weren't too far, we're not too far removed for having no salad bar, you know, and the lack of options. So the mix of the menu and, you know, even in a tough environment where you have to hold so firm to governmental regulations, and I think that's lost, you know, that point is lost. So to see some additional variety ideas that will comply,
Yes.
it's
Mhm.
it's
And I have to
It's a
say,
tough job.
my fellow directors, you know, all my colleagues I go to, all the I mean, they really give such great ideas, and we learn from each other, and that's where we get a lot of it. Our ideas from that we know we can do this, well, how do you get by with that? Well, we did it, you know, I mean, everybody gives you the ideas, so, and you need to keep it fresh, that's the hard part, is being innovative, and even though we're in a little district, or little kitchens, or little serving areas, you have to still try to keep it
Mhm.
exciting.
So if there was-
And budget friendly, so.
I was gonna say, if there's one piece of equipment you feel you're missing, what would it be? Whoops.
Matt would say a food truck, but, I would say, I wish I had more serving lines, I guess I'll say it that way. I wish I had more space for that.
and there's significant limitations at the elementary school.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk about what some of those are?
Yes, so you've all been in elementary school, you know how small it is. One thing we did do this year is we do have 2 lines coming now, so we have two cashiers that are taking kids on either side, so it's gotten a little quicker. But the problem is the serving line itself. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's countertop, it's not the hot wells that most of our kitchens have that are obviously more food safety.
Right.
And, it's down low, so the kids are safe from the food. We're at the elementary school, we have to put our pans on top of the counter, and the kids are coming along, and here's a hot pan, and, you know, and we've had a couple incidents where some kids kind of reached, or they accidentally just touched that metal pan, and it's like 1,000 degrees, and it's just
Yeah.
terrible, because we have to keep it in the warmer, so when we take it out, it's warm. I never dealt with that before, you know, working in a kitchen like that until I came here and it was the middle school and then the elementary was set up the same way.
Mhm.
It's not easy for the staff, they're pulling out these big heavy things, you know, in between lunches. Where we stick them at high school, they're ready to go, you turn them on, you cover them in between serving times, it's safe, it's,
And we've been dinged on the
Yes.
warmers at the elementary, so
Yes.
now we purchased warmers, but the
Mhm.
downfall is they come out hot, they sit on that countertop height, and it's
and a
just,
very small amount of room for kids to move along in those trays.
it's,
So,
you know, with a growing student body there too, I mean, again, that building was built in, let's say it was 1970-ish.
yeah.
We have double the kids.
And, you know,
in
not
the
just
same size
serving line,
space.
it's where we're feeding them, and then we have to go in the other little room, you know, in between, maybe the first hour is in the main area, and then the second hour they have to go into the other room, which means my staff have to go in there and get the dirty dishes, and, you know, it's just a lot of wasted time. And it's a physical hazard, and, it's hard for the kids, it's just not set up correctly, so, of course, I can always advocate that we need to anyone who wants to use school, yes, you know, so.
She needs to be
I'm
there.
Personally,
Yes.
it's a personal goal of mine, but yes, of course we want to.
Sure. Plus the constraints with the stretched out shift of feeding the kids. It's gotta be challenging.
We are starting at 10 to 11 and not getting done till almost 1.
Yeah,
And here at the middle school now, we're doing it in less than an hour. We're feeding 4 grades. So look at all that in, you know, instructional time. That's to be doing instead of.
that's true. Great. Well, thank you very much. Any other questions? Thank you
guys have a
very
good
much.
summer.
You too.
Thanks, Andrea.
We'll see you.
Appreciate you being here.
Teachers on call?
All right, to give you some background, I'll have Amy come up to the microphone and podium as well, but we are at a point where on June 30th, our contract, we did a 1-year contract with Teachers on Call. It will expire, and we have to make a decision, or you have to make a decision on whether to renew that contract or not. The only caveat is that when you renew, it'll be 3 years. So typically, they only do 3-year contracts. We asked for a trial period, so they granted us a 1-year contract. But, you know, going forward, their clients, they work with their clients, they're 3-year agreements, so it's 3 years or we move on. So we wanted to put together some data to help us take a look at that decision and decide what's best for our district. So I asked Amy to work with Katie to put together some data. Katie is the one that dealt with really absenteeism and substitutes before. And, you know, if we were to go away from Teachers on Call, all those duties would come back. We would pay the ASOP, which is the front end service point where, you know, teachers go online or whatever to create their absence. And then the ASOP system starts to notify substitutes. Well, Teachers on Call is the middle person, so basically we don't pay for the ASOP service. That's part of the contract with the service. So I'll let Amy explain it and talk a little bit about her summary.
So the way it works now, Teachers on Call sends us an invoice every week. So, and I configure that invoice and code it to where it's supposed to be coded, so, and it lists every sub that's in the district for that time period, which is usually about a week. So Katie was able to, on an Excel sheet, take all of the invoices and were to have paid it, we would have paid $173,687 in wages, $27,179.30 in benefits. And then before, I think it was before I started, or about the same year I started, the district had hired a long-term sub, and I believe it was Brandon Arnold at that time. So we also.
We had a couple.
Yeah.
So we also configured that cost in there, because if we would probably go back to doing our own sub column, we would still need to hire a long-term sub.
Well,
So-
I'm gonna interrupt here. Teachers on Call has a permanent Jordan sub.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have a permanent, that's the only thing they do is they're here.
Yeah,
So they've replaced that piece of it just with a permanent person that they've hired specifically for Jordan. The rest of their substitute pool, you know, it may be limited to Jordan, but they're not contracted on a day-to-day basis like this person is.
And then we also figured in the cost of what it would cost us to have the ASOP do where the teachers sign in and ASOP does it. So the total cost, if we weren't to have teachers on call for the certain time period that we had, was $266,511. So the time period that we had, we did it from the beginning of the year until May 16th. So the first week of school until May 16th. And during that time, we had 1,676 subs. 1,265 teachers and 401 paraprofessionals and 10 administrative subs during that time period. And so with all that figuring, we paid teachers on call $232,275.42. So it was actually a savings to the district of about $50. And also, keep in mind that when we use teachers on call, they're not our employees, so they're not on our workman's comp insurance anymore. And it's also taking or freeing up some of Katie's time as well.
And that's not factored into this?
Katie's time is not covered in.
Okay, and work comp is not?
Work comp is not.
Okay.
It could be, I would have to check on
What?
that, because on the formula that we had, workers' comp might be configured different.
Okay.
What benefits?
They get TRA and
Oh,
FICA.
okay.
Are you waiting for questions?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll give you an answer from Katie's expert.
Okay.
I noticed, and I'm gonna be honest, I noticed one thing that's really difficult for me is now I see the invoices. When it goes through payroll, we don't see it. It's just in our payroll.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the
I don't know if, I don't think, I'm guessing you might not be able to answer it, but Matt, I don't know if you've talked to see how, because I feel like, are the teachers, how do, I know that we make the decisions, I get that, but have the teachers been happy with, like, when they come back into their classrooms, how things are going? Have the teachers been effective, the teachers on call?
So I haven't heard any
Okay.
concerns or complaints this year. Last year we had some that were centered around, responsiveness or finding a sub, and I think part of that was due just to the newness of the system. I haven't had that this year. We've had some discussions with the union. In fact, we had one with the union leaders last week, and there are no concerns specifically with teachers on call.
Okay.
More concerns with substitutes, and just not being able to fill all our vacancies.
Oh, okay.
So, you've seen the monthly reports in terms of fill rate. It's as good as it's gonna get, upper 80s, low 90s is about as good as it's gonna get, and it's just one of those problems. I'm not sure really how you solve it. I think it's nice not having the burden to try to recruit subs. I know they've done some pretty significant recruiting and have talked about our lighted sign and paying for a digital ad to put up on our lighted sign, throughout the summer. So
Yeah.
things like that. They've had signage around the community for substitutes. They're doing, I think, everything they can to try to recruit. They have a dedicated recruiter to our area. A neighboring district that's not currently with them inquired late winter, early spring, said they're considering it. I know Prior Lake Savage is with Teachers on Call. So is Southwest Metro. It's one of those things where you have to have subs. It's just a matter of how you want to get them into your building. Do we want to dedicate people and resources to do that? Or we have a recruiting fair where we take those things on, or do we want to have a third party? It's really the decision.
So would there be the possibility of negotiating the contract with them and saying, because hypothetically, say we sign on for 3 years and then they kind of start slacking off. Could we have a clause in the contract saying that that you don't have X percent of fill rate, that we can get out of the contract? Would that be a possibility?
I can certainly ask. Maintain at least
A certain,
Yeah.
it has to
level?
be realistic. Maybe it's like
Sure.
88% fill rate or 85 or whatever it is,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
Otherwise, that we would have an immediate exit clause.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable to ask. I can certainly reach out and find out between now and the board meeting.
Questions?
There's
for-
no increase
or
to
response?
our pricing, I can tell you that, in the proposed contract.
For the 3 years,
Um,
or just for the first year and then?
Let me double check that. I know for next year for sure, no increase. So those are some questions I could ask our rep.
So your recommendation, do you have a recommendation for us?
Me?
Mhm.
I'd stay with them. Finding subs is a significant burden.
Yeah.
I like the idea of having somebody do it for you.
At a cost savings.
Like I said, when I was a principal, they called me. Like the teachers, when they were sick, called me. And I'd spend my whole morning trying to find subs. It's just not, it's just not it's a different age, different day.
It's hard to list that project administrators, because everyone wants to compare the burden.
And it's not completely gone from them now.
No, it's not,
Because
it eases it though.
there's times where, you know, you just can't fill, so the admin assistants may have to ask teachers throughout their day to give up their prep to sub, so that still happens. I mean, we're not pretending that it solves all the problems, but
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's a service, and I think they do a pretty good job.
Do they also take on the liability if there's a rogue sub that comes in that's?
It's their employee.
employee.
I'm
So
sure we
they
would, without a doubt,
Yep.
be liable in some
Yeah.
form,
Yeah, but the,
but if they were to get hurt on the job, you know,
Mhm.
for example, we've had some high-profile cases over the last 5 years where somebody gets injured on the job and we bear a heavy work comp bill, which affects our mod. You know, we've seen $20,000 premium increases annual. So,
Yep.
you know, those things certainly do help.
okay.
Well, and I sub in another district, and I have gotten calls from the principal, I've gotten calls from the human resource coordinator, the payroll coordinator, the administrative assistant, you know, just at various times, they're all trying to cover, and so it's just, you know, I just think about every time I get those calls, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're spending so much time and resources trying to fill
Mhm.
that, and so, yeah, it's a big problem,
It is.
so.
So I've got a couple of takeaways. One, try to discuss or negotiate language regarding an out clause for a certain
Mhm.
fill rate. Also to confirm pricing for not only next year, but for the 3 years of the contract. So I will do that, and then it will be an action item with a recommendation at the next board meeting in June 10th.
Great.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
I think you get to stay up here.
Yeah.
You have the good one here. GASB 84.
So I kind of am trying to highlight all of this. So GASB 84 is a new governmental accounting standard board that's coming through. It goes into effect July 1st. The main focus is on student activities. So right now, so on here I've listed some student activities that we have that are in what I call a Fund 20 cycle. and the state does not see them. They do not see the ins and outs of that. That will no longer be allowed, they have to go into the general fund. So it's gonna inflate our revenues and our expenditures. The state of Minnesota, or MD, is, however, they are getting a finance code for that, and they will also have a restricted fund balance, so it's not gonna affect our unassigned fund balance as what was originally thought.
Good.
But you as a board will start seeing, we're gonna keep it, Region will allow us to keep it in Fund 27 and crosswalk it to Fund 1. So you will begin seeing all the expenditures and revenues and have to approve those revenues and expenditures. It's just a lot of scrupulation. The federal government is being so, they just really want to scrutinize and decide and try to figure out what these activities are doing. A lot of districts are pushing them off to boosters, because a lot of districts honestly have more than what we do. Where we have already gotten rid of our athletics to the boosters, some of them still have theirs in. And a major impact was it could impact a district who is in SOD. But, so here's just a couple of thoughts. So these are the activities that we have on the next board meeting. We have to bring a resolution for you to bring them into the general fund. So you'll start seeing them on July 1st. So by that time, I'm hoping by July 1st we'll have the new finance codes as well as the restricted fund balance codes. And then it will also appear in our audit. Where now they audit our student activities, but now they're actually going to have an audit opinion of the student activities. They're still going to have to follow all the same rules and possibly more. I was telling Deb that our auditor, Jamie, our head auditor, she's on the committee at MDE, and she gave a presentation at my NASBO meeting that was standing room only, and they are gonna, Bailey is possibly gonna have just like a short class for the advisors of these groups, which to me would be a good thing for them to go to, because they're changing, especially the activities that take trips. That's because a lot of the things that they're going to be talking about is the fundraising and the other legalities of it. Because once they're in the general fund, it has to benefit all students, not just one student. In a group of students, but it's just going to be different.
So their fundraising can't be, like, I sell X number of pizzas, and you don't sell any?
It might not be able to.
Wow.
Oh.
You would have to benefit all of the band students or all of them, wow.
And there's always
Sure.
more information coming. I just wanted to give you a heads up, this is what's going to come on the next board meeting to bring them into the general.
I mean, you already kind of touched on it, but how many of them are you comfortable offloading to the booster club? Because I think there's quite a few on there that should probably go over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a discussion for us. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Is there a new level of tracking that we're gonna have to start doing too as a district?
I'm sorry, what?
Is there a new level of tracking that we're gonna have to do in terms of spend? I mean, besides these codes, when you said all students, right? Is there like a additional tracking that we need to consider?
I don't think so that
Okay.
that we have to. I mean, the finance office isn't going to have to do much more.
It's probably an unregulated mandate.
Yeah.
But like now,
Exactly,
I know
yeah.
one thing that's going to happen is when they do fundraising, they have to have records of all that fundraising.
Like
Not
where,
just bring us the money.
like where it came from records?
Yep,
Oh, really?
or- yeah.
Like, if you're selling pizzas, like they have to have the sheets that have,
They
that
to
have the
some-
names and
some
everything?
sort of fundraising
Okay.
documentation for that, or like candy bars for Wolf Ridge. We just get,
oh.
Mhm.
you know, like.
Lot of
how
dollars.
much, you know, how many, like, if X student got a box, you know, make sure that.
Right.
It's just,
Oh, wow.
it's gonna be more fun for the advisor.
Yeah.
Oh, dear God.
I feel like the majority of those go to the booster of the club, though. I could see where Wolf Ridge doesn't, because that's a field trip within school. But I think a lot of those, the coffee sales, the drama club, the prom, the SAD, I think a lot of
Music.
those are eligible to go into the booster club.
Well, I think it further emphasizes the need to streamline fundraising activities as well. With all the additional overhead, there's
Yeah.
no way we can maintain,
Right.
you know, hundred and some odd fundraisers, you have to do all that
Yeah.
extra administrative work. There's no way.
Well, and, you know, I had made that comment too, okay, so years ago, you didn't want us to have booster clubs.
Right.
And all you're doing now is giving them.
Moving them, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, because, I mean, if those, like, I think about the Spanish trip, and I don't have kids going on it, but, you know, there's like all that work that those individual kids have put in. And so instead it would just go to everybody, and then like everybody would have a certain discount. I mean, that doesn't seem fair to the kids that did all the work, and if some kids didn't do any, or couldn't do any for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem, I don't know.
I mean, I think that's probably more information that I have to gather.
Mhm.
No, I know, I'm just speaking out loud. But then it would be the boosters responsibility to maintain all of those records, right?
They won't be audited.
It's you too.
MD isn't gonna care.
But what I'm saying is that, like, somebody has to maintain those accounts to know who has what.
Yes, that would, I would.
Would it be the advisor?
I would assume it would be the advisor.
Mhm.
That's
Okay.
it now.
Well,
I would
Okay.
assume
you
they
still
would
have,
keep it.
even if it was with the boosters, we still have to accept the donation.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you'd accept the donation, and once the donation is accepted by a district, then it needs to be distributed as the district sees it. So you'd have one kid with, the boosters would donate $25,000, and you've had one student with $180, and this student gets $130. We aren't gonna wanna regulate that.
Okay.
You can't. There's no way you can.
No, but I think the whole trip goes out of that,
I would
then,
say
don't you
everything
think?
goes out of the boosters and we don't pay.
That's, I mean, that's the general idea
And it goes straight
behind
to-
booster fundraising too,
Yeah.
is rather than individuals or, you know, particular activities, it's the group that's raising dollars, and dollars get donated on behalf of the group towards that activity to reduce the cost.
Do you
That's
think-
why getting rid of some of these pizza fundraisers and those types of things, and doing more service-based and more, you know, like the salt sales is a perfect example. That's a product that everybody needs. They're providing a service. You know, it just,
Yeah.
no individual necessarily would have to, I don't know how you deal with those who choose not to do it. It is what it is. I'm not sure how you handle
So
it.
could I just ask, like, what is a prom fundraiser? What do they do?
Those
They
beer
sell
and
candy
wine,
bars.
Yeah,
the beer and wine thing they do out at the.
that's not the school
That's
district,
not,
though.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but
that's
that's
the
still
all-night
a,
grad
oh,
party.
that's the all-night grad
Yeah.
party.
That's all
Yeah.
I grad. I mean,
Yeah.
because I would assume prom, you just pay to go. I mean,
That's
No.
for, like, that's the money that we get into the prom.
Oh.
When we pay to go to prom, we get that money, we pay the DJ out of that.
Mhm.
Oh,
oh,
sure.
okay, so it's not like a
Well,
fundraiser.
but they sell candy bars, don't they?
They do.
Yeah. For
Okay.
prom, because my kid was selling them, so, yeah.
Okay.
So do you think the Booster Club would want to take these groups in? How does that work?
Right.
That's a good question.
I mean, do they have to? I mean, if we say we don't want them, do they have to take them?
I don't have to.
No.
And I think the hard part for me to understand all of that, if we gave it to the boosters, they would have to do it. We wouldn't be writing the checks for
Mhm.
Mm.
But then, as Matt said, it's a donation, we're just again the flow through, which we
Mhm.
should.
So that's a lot more work for the treasurer of the booster club,
I
basically.
think finding out some additional information about those individually raised funds and how that's gonna
Yeah,
work.
what they're
will
doing.
Help us deal with it.
I will try to get what I can.
Because I would guess the ones like that are taking trips, like dance club and drama, I could see them being in booster, because that's almost like a
Yeah.
sport, or, you know,
Yeah,
in
it's
their
an
own
activity,
thing,
yeah.
their activity. I could see them in there, but I could see the ones that are raising their money for individually, like selling fruit or selling whatever, to be able to go on their trips, like the Spanish Club. They do a huge amount of
They do.
fundraising, because their trip is really expensive. I don't know how you would, for the good of all, you just keep working and we're gonna split it evenly, or?
Yeah, that's
There
what I
are,
was
I mean,
saying.
there are a lot of unknowns, and I know that MDD worked hard begging
So there must be something.
Well, even like the band and choir trip too, I mean, when
Sure.
they have their, you know, in 3 years, when they have their big trip, that's not a cheap trip, and so those kids work a lot of hours to, and even for next year, going to Winnipeg, they're gonna,
It seems like one more step. Remember when we pulled in all their checkbooks? I mean, each used to have their own checkbook, and there was money all over the place, and nobody knew whose drawer it was in, and
I used to have the band
whatever.
checkbook back in the day.
Yeah,
It was
I
like,
mean,
really?
and so I'm sure that something must have happened, and they're trying to pull it.
I think part of this is looking at the same thing we were talking about wrestling though, is are some of these actually school-sponsored events, or are they stuff that could actually be run through community ed, and it happens to be the Jordan Choir that's going to do this, or the Jordan Spanish Club, but it's not a school-sponsored trip, it's, you know, are you just looking at it through a different lens?
Yeah.
Yes, Miss Peters is running it, yes, she's doing what she's always done, but it's not a school-sponsored.
The only thing is, I think that's a good idea. I wonder if you'd have to open it up, like if it's
Right.
a Costa Rica trip, for example,
Yeah.
you run it through community ed, it then would be eligible for anybody, or I'm sure there's some parameters you can put on it, but that might be an avenue that we can take,
It might be.
something we
Yeah.
can look into.
And the funds could be gone through the Booster Club, I would still think. And then they could make that donation through community ed for that trip. I don't know, I'm just literally thinking out loud as
Yeah.
we're sitting here, so I
Travis
don't know.
through community ed,
It
and
is.
you, and homeschool kids, other district kids are on our trap
Totally,
team.
yeah,
Because
totally.
they signed up to community ed.
And then you could do the same thing with community ed, right, residents or
Right.
non-residents, or, you know, however you wanted to
Yep.
do it. If you wanted to open it up to Belle Plaine kids that maybe aren't going to wherever, and it's just a couple
Well,
$100
and
more.
it seems like the class of 19, basically you're giving them whatever's left over at the end of the all-night
Yeah.
party or whatever, you're passing that check over to the next
Yeah.
people,
Right.
but it's still
Yeah.
gonna show in our,
Huh,
Yeah.
that's a really good thought. Let's take a look at that. Way we can beat it.
I think Wolfridge, though, I mean, Wolfridge, I think, isn't one of the exceptions. There might be other ones, because they're doing that as a field trip during the school day,
Yeah.
Right, right.
like you would if you went to the zoo. It's an overnight trip, it's done through that one I just see as, that one's definitely an outlier. I don't know about the other ones, but they're all involved, but, you know, the music one, they're leaving during spring break. Is that a school-sponsored one or not, or does it just have, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably because they're using school equipment and
Yeah.
instruments. It probably would be.
and it's
And it's
meeting
part of
certain
their grade.
educational
If
standards.
it's
It is
part of their grade,
It's part of
yeah,
their
part of their,
grade.
yeah, then, so maybe you just have to look at each one individually, but, you know, Spanish club isn't, you know, it's not a mandatory one, it's not part of their grade.
Right.
Right, but with Spanish, don't the chaperones get a background check as well? So
But you
if
can do
run
that
it
through community ed too.
Community ed,
We do through coaches and community ed too.
okay.
You know, and that one could still, or they could contract with them to have that.
Yep.
But there's only usually a limited number of spots for that trip too, and it's,
Well, you can still do that in
Yeah.
community, you can say,
Community ed has a limit for numbers of kids and people in
Yeah,
classes, so.
yeah.
You could do that. Could be selective.
But then you run into X number of kids from Jordan had planned on
Yeah.
going,
Going
and
and
somebody
can't
else
go.
got in, got
Jumped
their,
in, yeah.
jumped in.
that's where I'm
Yeah.
going
You
is.
just make it cost more for the,
That's what you do,
Right.
yeah, it's $500 extra or whatever, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you have to have your deposit in, for
Southwest
maybe you have,
Metro does for the program.
yeah, you could definitely get away with it.
Is the fashion trip part of their grade?
I would
That's
just,
something new.
Not
I
part of
don't-
their grade.
She hasn't had, Ann, and I just talked to Ann in passing, and she hasn't had them for a couple of years.
Yeah.
She's hoping to have fashion.
They didn't get graded when our kids went. They
Yeah, I
didn't,
don't-
well, it was part of their.
it was part of their curriculum.
Curriculum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
it
I
just
don't-
depends how you run it.
Yeah, it's
And
how
when you run it.
how she would make it work.
And they went during the school year. It was
Yeah.
over spring break,
Over
right?
spring break.
Yeah.
When there wasn't a band or choir one.
Right.
Like they picked those
Yeah.
years where it
Oh,
didn't
yes.
interfere,
Right,
so
that
it was
makes
kind of a
sense.
slick deal.
So what do you need from us? I mean, we're gonna be having a resolution on this in
That's it.
June?
She-
Okay,
Maybe
so,
our resolution can just be very vague, because MSBA doesn't have a resolution out there yet, I'm still kind of waiting for that.
okay,
Maybe it can just be very vague as to bringing in certain activities if we want them to.
Well, you could still bring all of them and we can all,
We can
we could,
You can offload them through the year.
yeah.
But I think just someone to discussion on what really needs to be in and what doesn't.
Yeah. Do we know if there's others out there? I mean, have we checked with all the
This is
powers to
all
be?
that I have.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is all that our finance have.
Okay.
And maybe some of the advisors don't even know they could go to the booster club and run through them.
Yeah.
And maybe
Right.
not.
Maybe they
that's
don't
just
even
the way
know.
it's always-
Yeah.
They
It has
just
been the way
got
it's
their,
always
they
been.
got their club together, they got an advisor, they met the requirements that we,
Music does have to come with boosters.
They do.
I don't know.
Oh. There's a JMS drama club? I know there's JMS drama, but there's a club? I didn't know that there was.
All that was I think someone ran a concession last year
Yeah.
and they made money and they wanted a club.
Put it somewhere.
And that's where it is.
Got it.
So some of these could probably go, right?
Okay,
That's where it was.
got it.
And if they do have a class, I would highly advise the advisors to go.
Yes.
Okay, any other thoughts or questions? Thank you very much.
Oh, and a side note, just quickly, Amy's completed the MASBO certification,
Hey,
and
congratulations.
she also is newly elected to the Region 5 Board of Directors.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Very nice.
Congratulations. We're very proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks, Amy. That's awesome. You too. Okay, that is it for our workshop. We have one item on our special meeting. And so I will call the special meeting of Tuesday, May 28th to order at 7:39. We'll stand and say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have one very sad item. The resignation of Jesse Erdahl from the board, and turn it over to Matt.
Well, reluctantly,
Yeah.
is on our consent agenda, but just, you've been with us for less than a year, and it's really hard to see you go, Jesse. You brought so much to this board and made us look into things that made me, I'll keep it at that, made me look into things that I hadn't thought of looking into previously. Your insight, you can tell that you studied your agenda packet and the materials that went along with it. When you attended sessions, you went there looking to find deeper meaning and looking to learn, and you can tell that you love this district, and you can tell that you wanted to make a difference. And it's hard to lose somebody with those skills and qualities, and but we wish you the very best in your new career endeavor. It's an opportunity that you couldn't pass up, and it'll be hard to lose both you and Laura. Eventually, I assume, will be coming here with the resignation, and the two remaining children that you have. It's been a joy to serve them, and Kat as well, who's graduating this year. So we're gonna miss you, Jesse, and wish you nothing but the best. And we have the board has a card for you, and obviously we have to act on this first. They might not let you.
Thank you.
I just want to say that you have made me a better board member. You have made us a better board, and you have made us a better district. So, thank you.
Yeah, Jesse, I'm very appreciative of getting to know you better, especially since we've been on the board. And I think it's just rare to have people that are so involved in their community. And it takes a lot of dedication and the ability to withstand some criticism, and I appreciate you for doing that. And the district that you're moving into, I'm sure you'll be very involved in, and they're really lucky to have you guys.
Thank you.
Really lucky.
It takes a lot of time to be a board member, and that first year, there's a steep learning curve, right?
Yes, there is.
And so, I feel like you have really met that challenge, and I've been honored to serve with you, and I I just feel like, you know, I wish that we had more time with you, but I certainly understand and wish you all the best. But I think that, you know, our district is going to be just a little bit less, you know, I mean, not less, but, you know, we will miss you, and it'll be a loss to our district.
Thank you.
To not have you.
Thank you.
Jess, I knew there was something special just the night that I sat in for Tom at, where did you send me, Tom, that night?
Booster Club.
No, City,
Oh, City Schools?
City, yeah,
Joint powers, yeah.
and you just took control of that whole group of men, you know, whatever, and I knew that you just had a way of calming the waters, you know, that night, and your work with JBA and bringing all those things together, those are passion things, and so proud to watch your daughters play sports, and you run up and down in the stands with your little one, you know, whatever. Your new district is getting an awesome person, and your new company is getting an awesome person, and sad that you're leaving, but blessed that we had the time with you that we did.
Thank you.
Everybody has already said everything. Why am I always the last one to go?
That's the problem with being in the
Yeah,
end.
you're
Yeah.
right.
Jesse, you made this board better. Not that we weren't good before, but I mean, you made it better. You had different insights and different, you know, things that you brought to the table, so you will be missed, and I'm so sorry that you're going, and I will be one saying no to the resignation, just so there's one of us that does it. It'll be me. But, yeah, you brought a lot here, and I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
Great.
Thank you all.
Tommy, I'm gonna invite Tommy to chime in here too before you do, Jesse.
Thank you for answering my questions about the abbreviations that I have no idea.
I could be making them up though, too, you don't know.
Good one.
Thanks for making me feel comfortable and always moving or telling me to move when I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't move or not move. And yeah, thank you for being my little buddy on the side.
Thank you guys, it was very, very kind. Definitely wasn't a part of my long-range plan, that's for sure. It's just the opportunity kind of came up, and it was hard. It was very hard, you know, definitely. You all have a very special place in us, in our heart, in our family's heart and all that, so we won't forget our time here. We won't.
Hopefully you come back soon.
Yeah.
The kids think you're coming back, just so you know.
Yeah, I've heard.
Because Landon told me that it's just a short-term thing,
Yeah.
because I didn't get the same email that you all got. I got it like after. I texted him at like 10:30. I'm like, I'm hearing a rumor that I don't know anything about.
Honest mistake.
Yeah, oh yeah, I do. But I'm like, seriously, the kids think you're coming back in a
I've
couple of
heard.
years.
I've heard.
That's the rumor around the school, man.
Yeah, it may be. You never know. You never know, so it could happen. We'll see.
Well, I'll pass the card down. You will be getting a picture. It just wasn't done because of the short notice. I just got a
thank you.
text from Connie a few minutes ago saying, Connie Crimmy saying that she got it done, but I have to get it and frame it, so I'll probably be bringing it to Kat's party.
Okay, sounds good.
Yes. Well, first we'll act on the resignation, so I'll entertain a motion.
Begrudgingly motion to approve.
We have a motion from Tom. Is there a second?
Second.
Connie. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion sadly carries. Okay, now I think we probably should talk a little bit about process. Under state statute, we do have to fill Jesse's seat. We can do that, we do that by appointment, but then that person, or people can then run in November for the open seat, and they'll officially fill the remainder of Jesse's term, which would be 3 years, starting in January. So Matt had sent out a timeline for accepting applicants and be doing interviews and selecting somebody to fill the term temporarily, so.
So the goal would be, we'll post for the position tomorrow using our employment system, our employment app. And then, we'll keep that for a 2-week, open for a 2-week window. And then in that meantime, we'll need, to set up times for anybody that's interested applicants to come and go through, and you could a subcommittee can review those applications and decide who we want to interview, or if you want to interview all the applications, similarly to what we did last time, or what you did last time. And then the goal would be to have an appointment ready for the regular July meeting. There's only one meeting in July, so that would take place there. And then there's a 30-day, after the appointment occurs, there's a 30-day window where the public can make comment on that, which is why that appointed board member cannot vote until.
They can't be officially seated
Right.
for 30 days. Yeah.
So I believe it would be our August meeting. They would be able to be seated, and then also be able to vote at that time. Then, as Deb mentioned, if that appointed person could choose to run again in the fall, as well as any at-large member of the public.
Yeah, 'cause about the time they're seated is when we'll have to open it up for.
Exactly, election, yeah.
Yeah, so it could be an interesting
Weeks.
appointment. I mean, it could be, might not be a lot of people that want to go out on a limb for a couple of, months or weeks really. So,
So I'll be reaching out to find out if there is a subcommittee that wants to look at applications, if it's warranted. I mean, if there's 2 applications, you'll interview both of them. And then we'll schedule a time for the full board to meet with those candidates, either before the July meeting, or, at a time between when the window closes in that July meeting.
I think another good thing to do, not only this time, but in the fall, when we have the general election, that if we would get a slew of candidates, that it would be a good thing to have an open forum and just lay out the expectations of what the commitments. Jesse had a good handle on it because he knew from TIF. So I think that might be a good thing to do, is to say it's not just coming to one meeting a month for 2 hours, so.
How many do you want to interview? 4? Because I would say if we don't get more than 4 applicants, let's just schedule them to interview. If 4 is the magic number.
Yeah.
If we get more than 4, then let's do a committee and then screen it down. But
Okay.
don't you think just to
Yeah.
try to eliminate a step right now of Matt having to go, well, I've got 4. Do you want to? Like, just 4 needs to seem a good number, or 3, or?
Is that
I think
what
it'd just be
we did
nice
last
to
time?
give you a number right now.
Did we
4?
just have 2 last time?
No, we had,
We
no.
had
We had
4
4.
originally, yeah.
Good 4.
I think 4.
4?
I think 4 is a good
Yeah,
number.
so I think at 4, then we
Yeah.
just
Anything
schedule
over
it.
4, screen it down.
Yeah, then we'll do a subcommittee to
Okay.
screen
Yeah.
it down, but I think if it's just 4, let's just do that for
I
an
agree.
interview. But
Okay,
just to give
Sounds
you
good.
some.
I'll get it posted tomorrow.
Okay, any other thoughts? Okay, and then before we adjourn, I just want to address for the public one thing that I think is important that the public should know. The district took a lot of social media bashing, for lack of a better word, and not only social media, but I had people in town come to me with concerns that people saying that the district wouldn't let the memorial services be held here on Memorial Day due to the inclement weather, and I just want to be clear that that is not true, that the district was not even asked if they could use their facility, and had they been asked, we most certainly would have opened up the high school or the circ for the community to use for the memorial service. So I just want to clarify that for the public, so.
I wonder too, Deb, on that, and whoever the point person is for that whole event,
Mhm.
if they had a rain out plan going forward. But going forward, if they start looking at a rain out plan, so then you just know that social media, if they cancel here, then here's the backup plan,
Mhm.
and then involve the school, and then the school's ready for it.
Right.
You know,
think-
so then everyone's ready, and everyone's on
Right.
the same page. So.
My understanding is that they had no plan. A couple years ago, there was rain and we hosted it in the high school.
Right.
And at that time, I believe it's the Legion, they had a push to permanently move it to the high school but there was kind of a survey done of the people in the community, and the people in the community very strongly felt that they wanted to keep it in
Sure.
Spirit Hill Cemetery. And so I don't know why they didn't reach out to the district and have a backup plan,
Yeah.
but.
Do you know who's in charge of that whole thing?
Yes.
And maybe just mention to them, let's have a plan, if they wanna do it, let's do a plan B, and we're more than welcome to be that plan B.
Sure.
But then you can either figure out if you want it at the circ, or you want it in the auditorium, or where you want it, and let's just.
And just so the public
schedule
knows,
it, yeah.
because I was getting phone calls at 6 a.m. and
Yeah.
text messages, you know, people saying, is there gonna be one? Well,
Well, the beauty of the social media, it goes so quick, but if you don't have a plan, you
Right.
can't push it out. If they would
Right.
have a backup plan, we're going to
Right.
plan B, and
Yep.
here's where it is, or here's
Yep.
what it is, so.
yeah, I can relay that.
Because
to
again, I think the
people.
district would be more than happy.
We
Speaking on their
appreciate
behalf.
our service women and men.
Yeah.
And, I think, you know, our Veterans Day programming that we do every year, this is something that we certainly would accommodate. When Deb came to me or talked to me this afternoon about this, I knew nothing about the concerns that were out there, so, it was news to me that there was an issue.
Okay, and one last thing, Tommy, this is your last meeting, I am going to give you the floor to tell us anything you want about what's going on.
I really thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to be the student voice for the Jordan Public Schools. It was a really good experience. When I came into this, I was kind of ignorant. I was kind of like, oh, why can't we do this? Why is the school doing this? But then after like sitting down and seeing how everything runs, I gained a better understanding of everything. So it was really cool to see everything from this perspective. And yeah, thank you.
And I hope you have a wonderful commencement outside Saturday.
Maybe. I like staying inside. So.
And I hope that you're gonna look into maybe student government or something when you head off to college, because you'd be a great asset. So, thank you
Never
again.
know.
Or a future board member?
Yes, future board member.
I
Yes.
don't know. It looks like a lot of work.
You'd be good. So on that note, I will entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned.